My sister Jane is about 5 years older than me. This incident happened around 5 years ago, but even today, whenever I pass by a bar or feel a stranger's eyes lingering on me for too long, I get chills. What happened that night wasn't just the result of one bad decision, it was a carefully laid trap, planned in silence. Back then, Jane wasn't in any relationship. Her last one had ended long ago, and she was just trying to feel normal again. Maria, my younger sister, and I used to cheer her up, take her out often, just to bring a little lightness back into her life. One day, Jane told us that she had started talking to a guy on Tinder. She said he seemed nice. She even showed us his profile: tall, thoughtful face, polite messages, and an overall honest vibe. We encouraged her. Yeah, go ahead and meet him. Just make sure it's somewhere public. Jane decided to meet him at a nearby bar. That evening, she got ready with extra care. I told her, be careful, and if anything feels weird, leave immediately. She nodded and left. The night around 7:45 p.m., Jane messaged us. I'm at the bar. I've texted him. 5 minutes later, another message. Some old guy just sat next to me. He's weird. I called her immediately. Who is he? What's he doing? She said, he offered me a drink. He stinks, and his teeth are crooked. I told him no, but he's still sitting here. A strange feeling crept into me. Maria looked worried too. Jane continued. I told him to leave. Now he's sitting at another table. My date hasn't shown up yet. I asked, what's the Tinder guy saying? She replied, he just texted, running a little late. Get a drink or two while you wait. That made my stomach drop. Who says that? Something about it just felt wrong. Jane seemed uneasy too. And then that same old man came and sat next to her again. He asked, your date didn't show up yet? Jane replied firmly, please leave me alone. The man smiled and said, well, we could just chat until he arrives. Jane shivered. Right then, she messaged the Tinder guy. Sorry, I'm leaving. As soon as she hit send, the old man flinched. His phone buzzed. Jane froze. Her breath caught in her throat. That's when it hit her. He was the guy she'd been talking to on Tinder. She said calmly, I'm going to the restroom. She grabbed her purse, walked straight to the bathroom, shut the door, and called us. Maria instantly said, leave right now. Go straight to your car. Jane came out. The man was no longer in sight. She walked quickly to the parking lot, got in her car, and drove home. The second wave of fear. We were relieved. Jane was home. We hugged her tight. She told us everything in detail. We peeked out the window. Nothing. Just the night. Quiet. But peace only lasted a few minutes. Jane's phone buzzed again. A new message. Sorry, I saw your message when I got to the bar. We all stared at each other in confusion. He was just at the bar with her. Then another message. I'm coming to your house. Which window is yours? Jane went pale. Maria snatched the phone from her hands. Right then, something moved outside the window. Someone was tugging at the curtain. Jane and Maria screamed. We all rushed out of the room. Dad grabbed his baseball bat and ran outside. But there was nothing, just darkness and a quiet street. We called the police. They tried to trace the number. It was fake, created through some app. For the next few days, fear lived with us. Every night, windows locked, doors bolted, Dad with a bat in hand. Jane deleted Tinder and didn't talk to a single stranger for months. But then, one last thing happened, a moment that changed everything. It was 3 a.m. I woke up suddenly. There was a strange noise outside, like something was crawling. I gathered courage and looked out the window. There, I saw a shadow, a hunched figure moving along the side of our house. I woke Dad immediately. We all rushed out, flashlights and sticks in hand. A few steps from the wall, we found a knife. There were footprints in the dirt, leading away. The police came again, but that man, he was never found. All we knew, he had come back, and maybe he was still watching us from somewhere. It's not over. It's been 5 years now. We sold that house and moved to another city. Jane is now married, happy and safe. But her eyes, they still carry a quiet alertness. When a stranger looks at her too long, she quickly looks away. And me? I still wonder, what if that night, that man had made it into Jane's room? What would we be telling today? A different kind of story? Lesson. This incident taught us something powerful. Not every smile you see online is harmless. Sometimes a stranger's kindness is death in disguise. Stay careful. Because sometimes while you think you're just talking to someone, they already know exactly who you are. My name is Daniel, and I work for a software company in Seattle. Life had become a cycle. Wake up, work, eat, sleep. Friends were few, the apartment was empty, and my heart even emptier. About 2 months ago, out of sheer boredom, I downloaded a dating app. I swiped through countless profiles. Most seemed fake, filtered to perfection. But then one stopped me cold. "Hi, I'm Lena. I love horror movies, rainy nights, and deep conversations." Her photo showed a girl with light brown hair and icy blue eyes. Beautiful, yes, but that wasn't what hooked me. Her words, they felt like someone had read the loneliness etched in my heart and turned it into poetry. We started chatting. Lena was witty, sharp, mysterious. She made me laugh, think, feel. She never agreed to video calls, but her voice, it was hauntingly melodic, like a song you remember from a dream. Weeks passed, and then one night she texted, "Let's meet," but only at night. I like shadows more than sunlight. It felt strange. Who says things like that? But desire is a powerful thing. It silenced every red flag waving in my head. We agreed to meet at a cafe on the outskirts of Seattle, an old place that had shut down years ago. Lena told me the owner was a friend and would open it just for us. I arrived at 10 p.m., sharp. Rain drizzled steadily. The cafe looked abandoned. Only one flickering bulb outside, casting trembling shadows on wet pavement. I hesitated, then walked in. Inside, the place was lit only by a single candle on a center table. And Lena. She sat there in silence, smiling. She looked just like her photo, maybe even more beautiful. But there was something else about her, something off. Her eyes were deep, not in the poetic sense. I mean deep, like they pulled you into a place you didn't want to go. We talked for hours. She asked questions that cut right through me, about my childhood, my loneliness, my fears. Her smile never faded, but it twisted a little every time I revealed something painful, like she was feeding on it. As we got up to leave, she leaned in and whispered, "Do you want to truly know me, Daniel?" I nodded. I was hooked. She smiled, kind of that same twisted grin. "Then come to my place. Now." We drove for about 20 minutes into a wooded area, far from the city lights. Her house stood at the edge of a small forest, old and creaking with age. It looked like something out of a haunted movie set. As soon as we stepped inside, I felt it. Cold. Not the weather kind. A creeping, bone-deep chill. "I'll just change into something comfortable," Lena said softly and walked upstairs. I waited in the living room. The house smelled like dust and something else. Something rotten. On the walls were old photographs. The people in them looked strange, and in more than one, their eyes were scratched out. Suddenly, a door creaked open down the hall. An old woman appeared. Her eyes were pale, almost white, as if she were blind. She stared at me for a long moment and said in a hoarse whisper, "You shouldn't have come, child." Then she turned and disappeared into the darkness. I froze. Footsteps came from the stairs. Lena was back, but she wasn't the same. Her eyes were glowing red. Her hair was wild and her face was twisted into a smile that didn't belong on a human. "You said you wanted to truly know me, remember?" She slammed the door shut behind her. The house changed. The floor began to shake. Shadows crawled across the walls like they had minds of their own. Lena's voice deepened, warped. It became many voices speaking at once. "We date through the dead. We feed on the lonely." I turned to run, but the doors were gone. The windows were bricked up. The walls began to bleed. Lena rose into the air, floating, her eyes blazing with fire. Her mouth opened wider than it should have, and a terrible sound came out. Not a scream, not a roar. Something unearthly. I screamed, but no sound came. And then, the old woman appeared again. She held something in her hand. A talisman, maybe. She chanted something, and suddenly a door appeared behind her. "Run," she said, "before she owns you too." I didn't think, I just ran. When I woke up, I was in my apartment. Everything looked normal. The door was locked, my phone was on the nightstand. I almost believed it was a dream, until I saw the burn mark on my hand. A heart burned into my skin, and inside it, an eye. I grabbed my phone and searched for Lena's profile. Gone. Like it had never existed. I started digging, obsessed. I found old forums, obscure blogs. Turns out I wasn't the only one. Dozens of men had gone missing after online dates in Seattle, all from the same area. No leads, no suspects. All cases dead-ended. I survived, but I'm not alone. Every night when I pass a mirror, I see her eyes, behind mine. Every time I dream, she's there, smiling, waiting. The end? Number, this is just the beginning. If you're lonely, be careful. Behind every smiling profile picture, there could be a Lena waiting to feed. It had only been 3 months since I broke up with my girlfriend, and honestly, I hadn't even tried to meet someone new until I matched with Amelia. We chatted for a few days. She was quiet, not much of a texter, but something about her felt different. Instead of the usual bar or a noisy restaurant, I decided to invite her to my place for dinner. I thought it would be more comfortable, more personal. I cooked penne alla vodka and garlic bread. Nothing too fancy, but good enough to impress. She arrived at exactly 6:30 p.m., dressed simple, no makeup, no extra effort, but still beautiful in a very natural way. Her eyes were pale gray, almost silver. She smiled politely but didn't talk much, and I could feel the pressure of keeping the conversation going falling entirely on me. We sat in the dining area. I poured some wine, trying to break the silence. It wasn't awkward exactly, but it wasn't easy either. Then, just as I was about to serve the pasta, she said something strange. "Can you bring a candle?" she asked softly. I think it would be nice to toast properly, with the right atmosphere. I nodded, not thinking too much about it. I walked over to the kitchen drawer to get a candle. It took me maybe 30 seconds. But when I came back, she was standing, slightly hunched over the table, and the moment she saw me, she quickly sat down. Too quickly. It was like she had been doing something and didn't want me to notice. I paused for a moment, watching her. She looked up with a strange little smile and said, "Everything okay?" I nodded, but something felt off. We lit the candle, ate in near silence. She took tiny bites, barely eating. Her eyes kept flicking toward my living room, like she was waiting for something. I asked her about her work. She gave short answers. I asked about her family. She said she didn't have any. Her parents had died when she was young. No siblings, no close friends. She lived alone. A part of me felt bad for her. Another part felt uneasy. After dinner, I suggested we watch something. She agreed and sat on the couch while I cleaned up. That's when I noticed her bag was open. A small, odd-looking black box was peeking out. I didn't touch it, but the design was weird, like something ancient. There were strange symbols on it. When I came back, she had taken out the box and was holding it on her lap. "What's that?" I asked. "It's a keepsake," she said quietly. "For what?" She didn't answer. We started watching a movie. She sat still, her eyes wide. She didn't blink much. At one point, I looked over and noticed tears in her eyes, but she wasn't sad. Her expression was blank. "You okay?" I asked. She turned to me slowly and whispered, "Do you believe in energy?" "What kind of energy?" She leaned closer, her voice barely a breath. "The kind that lives in places, in people. The kind that never dies." I didn't know what to say. She was staring at me like she was looking through me, not at me. Then, as casually as someone asking for water, she said, "Something bad happened here, didn't it?" My blood ran cold. "How do you know that?" She didn't answer. Instead, she placed the black box on the table in front of us. She opened it. Inside was a lock of hair, dark brown, curled, wrapped in a red string. I backed away. "What the hell is that?" "It's not mine," she whispered. "It's hers." "Whose?" She looked up at me, her face completely serious. "Your ex-girlfriend." I froze. "You don't believe me," she said, "but you will." "What the hell is going on, Amelia?" She stood up. Her energy is still here, trapped, angry. "You didn't just break her heart, did you?" My mouth went dry. "She killed herself," I whispered, the words barely leaving my lips. Amelia nodded slowly. "In this apartment, in that room." She pointed toward my bedroom. "I didn't know she would. I didn't mean." I couldn't finish. My knees felt weak. "I didn't come here for dinner," she said softly. "I came here to free her." Suddenly, the candle flickered violently. A cold wind passed through the room. The flame turned blue. Amelia held out the box. "She gave this to me in a dream," she said. "She wants closure." I stood there frozen, watching the flame dance. The room felt darker somehow, heavy. "Take the hair," Amelia said, "and bury it. Not in soil, in fire." She pushed the box into my hands. The moment I touched it, a sharp pain ran up my arm. I screamed. My apartment went pitch black. I heard footsteps, but Amelia was still standing in front of me. Then a voice, faint but right in my ear. "You left me to die." I turned. No one. "You moved on, like I never existed." I dropped the box. The candle blew out. Everything stopped. Then, Amelia was gone. The door was locked from inside. No sign of her, only the box, still sitting there. I took it and drove that night, out to the edge of town where there's an old cremation site. I threw the hair into the flames, and I swear I heard a scream rise with the smoke. Since that night, my apartment has been silent. The coldness is gone. Her voice, gone. But I still think about Amelia. I tried finding her online. No trace, no profile, nothing. I even asked a friend who works in IT to check our chat logs. He said there was no user by that name. No Amelia, no trace, just a memory and a promise. That energy never dies.